So in total, I made in YouTube ad revenue almost 7 years ago. I began a YouTube journey that was supposed to last one video. Good morning, it is 8 o'clock. So it's kind of dragged on a bit, and I thought it might be interesting, as I'm now about to change direction, to summarise how it all went here. Was it worth it? For now, back to the start. September 10th, 2018, my youngest son told me he'd had 1,000 views on a video he'd made on here. I'd assumed YouTube was for weirdos that liked cats that played the piano and teenagers that lived their life online playing silly games because they were too socially inept to have a real life.
Whoa, they're falling in!
I knew my kid didn't like cats, so I asked what silly game he'd got those 1,000 views on. And then I set out to beat him. My aim, a video with 1,001 YouTube views.
Win.
What are we waiting for?
Here's what I bought to the creative battle table. Photography, GCSE, grade B from 1990. I wasn't sure that being able to develop a black and white photo like I was in a 70s crime thriller would help much, but it was a start. And I'd spent almost 6 months 10 years earlier doing stand-up comedy for a hobby. Oh, and I had an okay job, which is relevant. People will tell you that you can start a YouTube channel with your phone and a dream. I started with a trip to the Apple store and an unlimited budget. All the gear, no idea. It's something people say when they can't afford nice things. I got myself a Go camera, an iMac, Final Cut Pro software, and then booked a trip to Africa to ride my motorcycle around and film it for my debut video. No musical cats here. I knew nothing about making videos, so I learned how to use the gear I bought on the flight out and then learned how to edit the footage on the flight back while stuffing myself with nuts from Cape Town Airport. I got my 1,001 views. I win. And then I decided to carry on. It turned out making YouTube videos was scratching a creative, neurodivergent itch that had been bugging me since quitting stand-up all those years before.
You could put him on Letterman tomorrow with that routine.
I realised I could do stand-up, sat down. Even better, I could just delete the heckles. But I needed a niche. What type of YouTuber would I be? They say write about what you know. So my options were finance, which was my day-to-day job and bored me 9 to 5. I wasn't going to also do it for fun. Motorcycles, which are cool but didn't really allow for the camera interaction I was after. Or fitness, which I did a bit of, but can fitness be funny? Obviously yes, but I didn't know that then. I googled fitness on YouTube and discovered that fitness YouTube was a thing. Many of those doing it appeared as entertaining as musical cats. So I decided I would just be one. How hard could it be? It's like I have imposter syndrome in reverse, or arrogant ego syndrome, not in reverse. So I did 7 years of that. How was it? Life-changing. Let's talk some numbers because people love numbers. My target was 1,001 views. I got about 70 million and almost entirely on long-form content. Very few shorts here because they are for people unable to concentrate for more than 30 seconds. They're like the colouring books and crayons that they give out in restaurants. So that meant around 7 million hours of view time, or 800 years, and almost 400,000 subscribers, which is cool. It's not great. There are some big YouTubers that would want those numbers monthly, but it's a degree of success. Although interestingly, and something worth noting if you want to do any form of social media yourself, growth is not linear or everlasting. And first it requires luck and quality content. The idea that you can just grind away producing shit and you'll get there in the end is ridiculous. That just results in lots of shit. This, pretentious though it sounds, is a creative art. I'm upside down. Practice only makes perfect if you are predisposed to being able to be any good. But it's also true that great content can go unnoticed forever, no matter how good you get. So you do your best, you cross your fingers, and you be realistic about your chances. And if you do make it, maintaining it, growing it, it's then down to how far you want to compromise what you do to chase more numbers. So let's talk more numbers. Now my first videos were okay. If I made that African holiday video today, I'd be happy with it. I sort of hit the ground running with okay content. But no one followed me, so no one watched it. That video has now got 20,000 views in 7 years. It's made about £18, which doesn't cover what I spent on Cape Town nuts. This video will have 20,000 views within hours. And again, I'm not saying my numbers are great, they're just so far removed from where I started, even though my content is not. In fact, until Christmas 2020, this channel really went nowhere, less than 2,000 subscribers in over 2 years. Then I fell off my bike and had what felt at the time a crazy year of success. Nuts, paid for. Some videos were getting close to 100,000 views.
This is stupid. Why would anybody want to do this? This is nuts. There's no one here. Just in a field.
But there was a problem. I had a well-paying full-time job, and now COVID was over, I was supposed to start doing it again properly. Until then, I'd been having to do it indoors on Zoom to avoid the extreme danger of going outside unmasked, something I only dared risk to do when seeking essential exercise for myself and my dog. We did a lot of essential marathons that year. I could not work full-time and YouTube full-time, and I couldn't live on YouTube income, but nor could I live doing a job I didn't enjoy when one I did love was right in front of me. So I began to tweak my content to see if I could make actual money. Could I be a YouTuber? I tried vlog style content, I tried reviews, I tried titling my videos, I tried, and that worked. And so I went into 2022 with some videos really taking off, and the belief that maybe I had cracked it enough to quit my old job. I was still making less than £100 a day, less than £10,000 since I started, but I saw an upward trend, and I figured I had enough saved up that I could go a couple of years without any income and see what happens. Worst case, it just doesn't work and I get a boring, shitty job. But the alternative was just doing a boring, shitty job, so it seemed a gamble worth taking.
Yesterday I saw this video on YouTube where people were trying to run at the pace Eliud Kipchoge ran at back in 2018.
Then one day I saw a video of people trying to run as fast as Eliud Kipchoge. I liked the idea but had no way of recreating it properly, so instead took my kid to the local gym and had him film me running on the treadmill at various speeds up to Kipchoge pace. And that worked. The video did great, it got shared around online and views flew past 1 million very quickly. I quit my old job. But here's the problem. Once you know what sells, it's hard not to be tempted to just make what sells, especially if it's the only thing you're selling. I was not doing personal training or vlogging programs or online coaching because I had no real idea about fitness. I certainly knew nothing worth selling. And while that doesn't stop most people on here doing it anyway, it wasn't for me. I was also not doing sponsored videos because I just didn't want to compromise my content with what? Like a jump cut, and suddenly I'm no longer in here talking about something I want to talk about, but instead I'm outside jogging or riding my bike with the latest gadget that someone's paid me to talk about. So in 2022, I made over £60,000, but could have more than doubled that with sponsorship that I turned down. At which point, let's talk money, because some people, most people, will think that £60,000 would be an amazing salary to do a job you love that's a million miles away from 9 to 5 normality. It would be, but that isn't exactly what it was. Not really. But first...
So I'm just out here riding my e-bike, wearing these from Shocks, who have sponsored this video. Why? Well, I was going to jog, but that just seemed way easier. So if you've been paying attention, you'll know that I don't do many sponsored video integrations like this. And the reason is I've got a bit of a rule that a product needs to be something that I have used and paid for myself long before working with a company. And when it comes to Shocks, I've been using them and paying for them for years. I was even making videos about them right back at the start of my YouTube journey.
Literally launched just a couple of days ago. Very, very exciting. Full review coming. And dog sunglasses.
Bizarrely, that video has more views now than the African one. Must be the dog. Now, my exercise has wound down a lot lately, but what I still do, like cycling, I do wearing these. These are the Open Run Pro 2 model. I also have the Open Fit 2 Plus, but Jen tends to wear those in the gym all the time, so I rarely see them. So what they've done with this model is they've combined bone conduction technology with regular speakers. So you get the best of both worlds. You get great audio quality, but you also get the safety of open ear, which is important around here. If I'm cycling out on the roads, although there's not much traffic around here, what there is tends to weigh about 40 tons and be a tractor. And oddly, farmers unconcerned about cyclists being in the way, so you want to hear them coming. Now you might be thinking, bone conduction technology is great, but the sound is a compromise. I agree, it used to be, not with these. In fact, I tend to listen much more to podcasts than actual music, so it's real important that I can hear clearly what's being said. With these, no issues. And so light, can't even tell I'm wearing the things. So as I said, I don't work with many companies, but when the product is this good and I've used it for this long, I'm happy to. And Shocks are having their autumn sale right now, so go check out the link in the description. And there is no link for the dog sunglasses because he would bite me every time I tried to put them on him. Not recommended.
Where was I? Right, that's £60,000 in 2022. That 60 grand is business turnover. A business that I was working on full time and then some, lying awake at night thinking what I could do next. My wife was also working on it full time, doing the admin, doing the accounts, appearing in videos. The business then had expenses, whether it's equipment for filming or getting to locations or buying the things I was reviewing. Apple and Garmin weren't sending me freebies. I paid for it all. And then there's obviously tax on the profit that's left over before we can pay ourselves the remainder, split between the two of us. It's not a great income. And don't forget, no sick pay, no employee life cover, no holiday pay, no job security. The list goes on. You're 100% on your own. Don't get me wrong. If you try working for yourself, you never work for another person as long as you live. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows, especially if you're an adult with adult responsibilities. I've got a mortgage, I've got bills, I've got outgoings. And so to 2023, my best year and worse, I blame Greg Doucette.
Guy's 6'6", 198 centimeters, 101 kilograms, 223 pounds.
I had got the hang of making videos that got views. For the first time ever, I could make something and be fairly confident it would do as well as expected. It wasn't exactly the sort of content I would love making, but it was nice knowing it would get results. Then Greg Doucette convinced me to try the 10,000 calorie challenge. He thought my passion for cardio and food would set me up nicely for it. So I made the video.
And so I wrote him a DM and said, check out Will's video. You should consider doing this challenge. I think you can do it.
And almost died, and it did great.
And then the next day had a Garmin stress chart that indicated I should just walk towards the light.
It was, for me, peak YouTuber. I had become a musical fucking cat. Again, do not misunderstand. It was fun to make and fun to do and see it do well. It just felt like I had a great restaurant and everyone just kept ordering cheeseburgers.
I hate it.
The year ended up around £70,000 off the back of fewer videos than normal. In fact, so few videos, all I had to do was double my output in 24, which I easily had time to do, and I would then have income in excess of £200,000, plus the same again in sponsorship if I wanted to go down that road. It was mine for the taking and I'd be back to the standard of living I had in my old job. However, in 2024, the wheels came off, or rather my trainers did. I was never that into exercising and had only taken it to the level I did for YouTube. It's like those people you hear about who impersonate doctors or airline pilots. One minute you're casually strolling around with a stethoscope, hoping no one asks what you do. Before you know it, you're giving brain surgery a go. So I stopped exercise. Time for a break, a new hobby, a new focus, moving house. But that meant it was time to see if I had enough subscribers to maintain things here with no niche, which is tough for anybody. Clarkson on Top Gear is great. Clarkson on a farm is great. Clarkson just Clarkson? Sure, there'd be a lot of people in Subaru jackets who regard left foot braking as an essential life skill. They're going to watch. But it's not the same as when the man is setting himself up with the foundations of a good niche. And it turned out it wasn't my viewers that needed that foundation as much as me. As an example, these are the videos from that year that had over 500,000 views each. 1, 2 and 3 were all made the year before, and 100% cheeseburger. Number 4 was the I tried, always a safe bet. Number 5 was actually one I really enjoyed making. 6, 2 years old and still cashing in. And 7, 8 were just me discussing my TRT and fat jabs. Basically, here's random stuff I'm doing, which sometimes goes down well, but it's hit and miss, and it depends on the public interest in those issues more than my content. So what I learnt was that people will watch, but I find it hard to make content without the springboard of knowing my niche. My niche doesn't have to dictate all aspects of the video, but it's the starting point. It helps me and it helps you. Who's telling this story? Athlete, fat bloke, icon. So production fell and views with it. The last 12 months around £50,000 off less videos than at any point since I began. Reassuringly, when I sit down to write something important to me, and I feel I write it well, it still does okay. If my numbers had slipped while I gave it my all, I'd be disappointed and worried. And at the same time, I started a new channel with my wife where the niche was clear. It's two idiots in the countryside with no idea what they're doing. The first proper video on that channel went up at the start of the year, and it's now just gone through 100,000 subscribers and £10,000. So it's light years ahead of where this channel was at the same time. So after 7 years here, worth it? Yes. The downside is that you're constantly on the content treadmill. 9 to 5 is a tedious way to work, but at least you know at 6 your time is your own. Doing this, your brain is in a constant state of trying to create. But on the upside, the freedom to earn your living creatively, doing something you enjoy, it is very, very good. So in total, I made in YouTube ad revenue almost £250,000, £250,000 for a hobby gone wild. Divide it by 7 years and 2 people and ignore the huge cost of producing it and tax. It's not quite so sexy, but again, it depends on where you are and what you earn right now as to whether it would look appealing or not. Would I have made more doing my old job? Yes, many times more, but life is short, and so fuck that, who cares? I'd also still be living in Reading. I hate it.
And the motorway runs by your door.
And no question, it set us up to be able to do the things that we're now able to do. Would I change anything if I did it again? No, nothing at all. My original plan to make videos I was proud of, not treat my audience like a commodity that can be sold to whoever wants to pay for their attention most, to script everything, tell a good story every time, to put good writing first, to finish with a point to it all. I am not 100% successful in doing that every time, but I stand by it as a goal for every video. The future on this channel? I'm not sure. I need a niche, a foundation to write from, so I'm going to pause, find one, and then get back to it. My most successful years are ahead of me. I'm just trying to make sure they also contain the content I'm most proud of. And so to finish, what's the point of this video now? I'm not sure actually, but probably that YouTube, it's more than cats and pianos. Man, it is hot. Too hot for all this filming malarkey.